Here is the Audacity workspace, with your playback tools in the upper left-hand corner and then the editing tools and audio setup options. The audio options are important when recording to make sure you're using the right microphone. The playback device is what you will listen to your playback through. I'm listening with headphones. The recording device is the mic that you're recording to, which is also set to my headphones. If the device you want to use is connected to your computer but you don't see it in this list, it may require that you rescan to detect what is available. From the transport menu, select Rescan Audio Devices. Everything that is plugged in should show up in your audio setup options now. You can record directly to Audacity by clicking the Record button. It will automatically create a new track and start recording. To stop recording, hit the Stop button. If you want to resume recording where you left off, just hit Record again. If you want to record to an entirely new track, you can create a new track from the Tracks menu. Most microphones are mono, so I'm creating a new mono track. Now that I have the new track, I click on the track to select it, and then hit Record, and the new recording is started to my new track. But I don't want to record. I already have recorded my interview to my phone and my interviewee's laptop. Instead, I'm going to import all of my audio clips. My own interview recording, my interviewee's recording, my opening song, and the hiking sound effect. I can simply drag and drop my files into Audacity from my Documents folder. Audacity creates 4 new tracks. They are all kind of big and I can't see them all at the same time, so the first thing I'll do is make each a little shorter by clicking and dragging the bottom border of each track. And now we can see the difference between mono and stereo tracks. The mono tracks from the interview recordings just have one channel, so they'll sound the same in the left and right speakers. The 2 recordings I downloaded are both stereo, so there are 2 channels, one for the left speaker and one for the right speaker. The left and right channels are a little different, as you can see in the waveforms, and this creates some depth to the sounds. However, don't worry too much about left and right channels or mono versus stereo for this project. Both are fine and each have their strengths that will help you make a great podcast. The next thing I'm going to do is order my tracks. This is purely to match my personal preferences and won't affect the sound at all. I like to have the backing music at the top and then each track in order as it appears in my project. I'm clicking on the little down arrows on each track and selecting Move Track Up or Move Track Down until I have things how I want them. A simple but very important tool is the mute button. This allows you to silence a track while you work on the others. The solo button does the opposite and mutes all of the other tracks so that the selected track is isolated so you can listen to it alone. I'm going to start by editing my backing music. I will solo that track. I'm only using it at the beginning of my podcast so I can delete the last few minutes. There are a couple of ways to do this, but the simplest is to select the portion that I want to delete and then hit the delete key on my keyboard. Now I want to line it up with the track that will come in next, my own voice recording. So I will unmute that track and I can move it down on the timeline by clicking on the upper part of the track and dragging it. This means that this track won't start playing at the beginning of the timeline, but will start after the music has played for a bit. You'll need to listen to your music and choose a spot where you want the speaking track to start. To be able to see the first few seconds of my project up close, I can use the Zoom In tool to blow up the scale of what I'm viewing. Now I can see that my song should only play for about 5 seconds before my first speaking part starts. So I'll click and drag that second track so that the waveform aligns with the 5-second mark. I like this placement, so now I'm going to fade out the music so that it doesn't cut out abruptly. Choosing how long to fade something out is a matter of preference. I'll start by doing a long, slow fade out. I'll first click and drag along the waveform to select the portion of the track I want to fade. Then I click the Effect menu and select Fade Out. When I play it back, that seems a bit too long. So I'll hit Undo, Control Z, and then trim off the end of the music by selecting it and hitting the Delete key. Now I'll select the part I want to fade out again and select Fade Out again. This kind of editing requires some patience and listening to find an arrangement that you like. It might take a few tries to get it right, and that's perfectly normal. Now I want to line up my 2 interview tracks. Since my interviewee was in a different city when we recorded, the 2 voices are recorded to 2 tracks, and we each hit the record button at different times. Syncing the 2 tracks is actually a pretty easy task and is made easier by clapping, so that the clap can be matched up. However, it's not too hard to sync without clapping. Here I can see the clap on both tracks, so I will simply drag my second vocal track to line up those waveforms. When I play it back, there should be a single clap sound. But it doesn't need to be perfect. This is a case where close is close enough. And now that I have them lined up, you can see how the interviewer's waveform drops off just before the interviewee's waveform starts up. If you don't have a clap on your tracks, you can sync up your tracks by looking at the waveforms and making a good guess. Now that they're synced up and are in the right spot on the timeline, I will delete those claps. In Audacity, the default setting is for a track to collapse to the start when the first bit is deleted. But if we do that, we lose the timing. So instead, I'm going to hit Command-Option-K to delete the section without affecting the placement of the track. On Windows, you will want to hit Control-Alt-K. At this point, you may have noticed that the vocal tracks are quieter than the music. This requires some mixing of the tracks to adjust the levels or volume of each track so that they all sound good together. We can boost the volume of the vocal recordings in Audacity with the Amplify tool. First, select the entire recording segment by double-clicking on the waveform. Next, open the Effect menu, select Volume and Compression, and then Amplify. You'll see a set of options, but Audacity by default selects the settings that will amplify your track as much as possible without distorting it. So just stick to the preset settings and click Apply. You will instantly see the waveform transform with the peaks of the sound waves hitting the upper and lower limits. Repeat this process for all of the tracks you think need a volume boost. And now that we have more volume, some of the imperfections are more obvious. The background noise and the microphone hum is a bit distracting, so I will use the noise reduction tool. This is a two-step process, however. First, you will want to get a noise profile to let Audacity know what you consider noise. In the waveform, it's this flattish line where the speaker isn't speaking. This often sounds like a hum or a hiss. Click and drag to select as big of a portion of this flattish noise, and then open the Effect menu and select Noise Removal and Repair, and then Noise Reduction. Click the Get Noise Profile button. Then select the entire recording segment by double-clicking, and open the Noise Reduction menu again, but this time instead of selecting Get Noise Profile, you can select OK. There are many settings that you can tweak, but Audacity has some good defaults that are good to stick with. If you choose the wrong settings, you may end up damaging the parts of the recording that are not noise. Repeat this process with all of the tracks you have recorded that have background noise.
Jim. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you for having me here today. I'm really excited to be part of this. One last tool worth talking about is the envelope tool. This allows you to fine-tune the volume within a track. For example, in this recording, the interviewee bumped the mic and makes an annoying noise. Instead of just deleting that segment, we can reduce the volume at that point. To use the envelope tool, select it from the tool options in the upper menu. It's the line with the two dots. This tool allows you to create points where the volume will be adjusted. Simply click on the portions of the waveform where you want to make changes. I'm going to create 2 points before the thump and 2 after it. Now I can move the inner 2 points down to reduce the volume and basically cut that thump out. And now that the thump isn't there, I'm noticing some slight background noise from the interviewer's track. So I'll repeat the process for deleting a portion of recording without disrupting the timings. Click and drag on the waveform to select the portion you want to delete. In this case, the entire part where the interviewee is talking. Then hit Command-Option-K on Mac or Control-Alt-K on Windows.
Jim. Welcome, Jim.
These are two ways to pretty much do the same thing. One reason why you might want to use the envelope tool to lower the volume rather than to delete a segment is to have music playing faintly in the background while people are talking, but then raises after they're done. In that case, you just wouldn't lower the volume all the way with the envelope tool. And then to demonstrate the fading effect again, we will move our hiking sound so that it starts up just after the interviewee starts talking. Click and drag to select the portion of the waveform to fade in, and then select Effect, Fading, fade in. The rest of the editing process is repeating those processes on the other portions of the podcast to line everything up and make it sound as clear as you can. It's a bit of an art and can take some time to get it all right.